Hey boys and girls, welcome to Old Pueblo Coin and the Coin Geek YouTube channel. Thanks for watching this very controversial video about trying to say the word controversial and talking about gold and silver. For those of you who follow this channel regularly, you know that we talk a lot about coins, coin collecting, and a little bit on the bullion market because we are in that space a little bit also. And I want to talk a little bit about the cooling off of the bullion market and kind of what it looks like from the inside out. There's a lot of stuff out there on the interweb that talks about, boy, every last possible conspiracy theory and price controls this and price controls that. And, you know, from my point of view, where I've seen everything in the market for the last 25 years, the one thing that I'm not going to speak about because I don't know is, you know, the actual spot price, which some of you, oh, what's the spot? How do you get the spot price? That's not important for this video because I don't know the answer to that question and I'm not going to make it up. But also because what matters is understanding the difference in the temperature of the market from hot to cold in price points and what happens as the market starts to cool off. Now, earlier this year, we saw all the premiums start to drop on gold and silver, and we also saw a bump back up again after I declared the market, the silver bull market, bull rush market, whatever it was, done, saturated. Then we had a crazy bank fail, and then, you know, after that we had a little rush again. But here we are again a couple months later, and the bullion market has rapidly cooled off again for the first time since 2019. Now, a lot of people out there, you watch YouTubers who talk strictly about gold and silver, and so if you found us because you watch videos like that, you may already have opinions about how gold and silver works or why it works a certain way. But, you know, I just want you to hear from someone who was here before COVID and lived through it all, because as recently as 2019, nobody wanted silver. Like, nobody. In 2019, we bought more silver than ever, and we wholesaled almost all of it out because nobody wanted it. And that also helps me understand what happens in a hot and cold market. And what really happens in a hot and cold market is the spot price moves wherever the spot price moves, but the wholesale retail market is what it moves, and it moves relative to the spot price. So this is science right here, so you can't dispute it. This, I made a baseline with a spot price at $20 an ounce. This is just an example to keep it easy, right? And so price point, spot price, these numbers up, 26, 24, 22, 20, 18, 16. Couldn't get below 16, can't remember the numbers. And then hot market, cold market. So we were in a hot market more recently, and what that looks like is basically the X represents kind of what the wholesale numbers look like, and the dollar sign represents what you end up paying for stuff. And so this is relative to overall market availability. Market availability is a real thing. So once again, I can't teach you about spot price, but I can tell you about market availability, which is to say, when a dealer like me or anyone else who happens to have other wholesale connections goes on the open market, what can they find metal for? How much is available? How quickly can you get it to me? What are the markups? And those numbers, although some people think they're manipulated, the reality is those people, there's hundreds of wholesalers all in competition for each other. They really can't manipulate their numbers. They're in competition with one another, and that actually keeps those numbers very, very similar. Now, occasionally you'll see some outlier for someone who's paying way too much for something, or someone who just didn't get the memo that the market has shifted. And that is a hot potato, my friend. We know who ends up getting all that stuff. And that happens in, by the way, the numismatic market too, not just in the silver market. Right. So when the market was really tight, it was costing us $2, $3, $4. This line could have gone over more, over spot, just to get silver here. And then we'd have to mark it up a couple bucks to make a margin on it too. Right. And so as the silver market started to cool off, the premiums started dropping. So a year ago, we were paying $4 premiums for silver. And then more recently, we're seeing $1 to $1.50 premiums on the wholesale level on silver. Right, and so we were marking stuff up. We were paying +4, so we were up +6, and then, you know, silver came down. Our margins were +3 and +5. We were costing us 3. We were selling at +5, and now at +1, we can move to +3, and so we kind of have this going on. Now, we haven't gotten to, and we probably won't for a while. I don't think we'll see for a while any type of big sell-off that'll cause things to drop too far. But when people start selling, the herd mentality is crazy, because what happens is people seem to all find the exact same Reddit page on the same day. And you can tell who's been reading each other's, same Instagram, reports, because you'll have a bunch of people run in on the same day to sell stuff, and it's just like lemmings, like someone told them what to do, right? And so, but as the market cools off, you get to a point where, like in 2019, for a while we were paying uh, a buck under spot and selling at a buck over spot, and that was our spread for a long, long time. And but what happened is we were taking on so much that we had to start backing off our bid to about a buck 50 under, because the wholesale dropped to negative. So in other words, if I wanted to sell it wholesale, I would have to pay them 50 cents under spot. In other words, it was spot minus 50 cents. But I could also purchase it wholesale at spot, or spot plus a quarter, and I could order all I want all day long, as much as I want. Now, y'all can hate on me if you want to. I'm just talking about historically what's happened. And of course, that does not a future prediction make. But what I will say is, from a historic perspective, that's where the metals were at. And not just the metals, not the spot price, but the actual market functioning. Like what actually happens behind the scenes with people buying and selling. And so what's interesting to me is the way that it does almost work like a spigot off and on. Like when you see a market come to an end, saturation is met. Because the things that are mysterious to me is the fact that I'm able to see that all across the country. You'll start talking to people in different cities, and they'll be like, yeah, gold and silver just stopped selling, like almost overnight. And so I attribute that to a herd mentality, which is to say, I do think a lot of these people, they run in the same communication circles. They've got the same stuff on their phone that's popping up. And so I think that's just a guess at how that happens. But my main point for this video is that graphs are scientific and never wrong, and that realistically, I think you're going to start to continue to see things move more and more towards this side of the ledger over the coming months. Of course, this is all very fluid. In other words, bad news moves us back into a hotter market or tight market, and then things can cool off again. Because eventually people run out of money to put into this, because not everyone in America is buying gold and silver. There's only so many people who are buying gold and silver. The other thing that I find interesting, which this is once again, I don't set this, I don't know who sets this, I don't know how this gets set exactly, the spot price. But what I will say is, in my opinion, you should see, as the market moves this way, you should actually see the physical spot price start to come down a little bit. One of the things that was bizarre to me during, of course, part of this 2021, 2, 3 COVID run-up was, the spot price felt like it should have been higher relative, instead of the premiums going up, it just felt like, well, can't we just move this up higher? But the real market, it has to do with availability and how much you can get, how fast you can get it, and how fast your hand cramps from holding up a sign. Where's Vanna White? Can't she hold this for me? All right, guys. Anyway, I just thought it was kind of a fun time to talk about what's happening in the silver market and spot price and availability. And hopefully that graph helped you see something a little bit differently than you saw it before. As always, I am Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.